ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the wonderful, talented, and kind and generous for her time today, Chef Charity George. Miss Charity, it is wonderful to have you today. Thank you so much for jumping on really quick and talking to us today.
Thanks for having me. It's quite a pleasure. I love talking to students. So,
yes, I about jumped out of my seat when I linked in with you, and you were like, "Oh yeah, no problem, let's talk." And I was like, pumping.
Hey, I've done it too. I've done the exact same thing. I've connected with some huge people, like CEOs on companies. I'm like, really? Shut up. That's awesome. Yeah.
No, I agree. And that's it's a quick plug really quick for connecting and networking with people, guys. It really does pay off in the end to just know people casually. You never know when you could help someone or they could help someone else too. So
that is literally, I don't remember where I just said this, but I said that the other, I don't know, a week or so ago. So I think somebody was filming me for something, but I said, that's one of the biggest things I think I've done in my career, because I had a really good mentor early on. And they told me, you need to network, you need to keep up with your connections and, you know, scratch each other's back, whatever, but you keep those things up and it'll pay off. And oh my heavens, has it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too. I'm a full believer in that too. And I think students need to hear that too. So, well, Charity, first of all, I don't know if I've officially introed, but you have many jobs, but could you just tell us a little bit about, first of all, you know, who you are and, you know, maybe one of your 30 jobs to talk about, because I think you have an exciting life and you obviously live a life of passion and putting it out there. So we're anxious to hear, like, what do you got going on in your life?
Okay, well, for starters, I am a pastry chef, cake artist. I live in San Diego, California. So right there, I'm sorry, because I know y'all are dealing with some ugly weather and you can see the sun shining in through the window.
It's okay. It's fine.
Hey, believe me, I pay for it dearly. Our fair weather taxes, you don't want them. Let's see. So I do have a degree in pastry, and I do specialize also in chocolate and sugar work. I am president of the board of Icing Smiles. There's my PSA for the day, which is a nonprofit organization that creates custom celebration cakes for kids with medical illness and in medical crisis. So we're kind of the Make-A-Wish of cakes nationwide. I do a lot of television, and just that area of my career alone, I have a lot of hats that I put on at different times. Everything from physically making cakes like I do in Nailed It for people to copy, to helping culinary producers, consulting with executive producers and networks on creating new shows, helping with contestants on the back end. They've kind of like used me every which way they possibly can use me in that industry. I test products for companies. I have a huge list of sponsors. I do videos and things like that, which I actually just started a new series today. I write magazine articles and stuff like that for people, test recipes. I'm writing my own cookbook, developing my own TV show. And then I have 3 kids. I'm a single mom. Yeah, so there you go. There's just a little, there's a smidge.
Just a few things you've got going on.
Just a couple.
So, Ms. Charity, if I could kind of channel that, then you started with traditional training with pastries and that, and now you have like this giant umbrella of things you can do, and you do. Could you talk a little bit about maybe how that started? Did you start by like working as a pastry chef and one thing led to another? Was this something you sought after to get into the world of, you know, helping kids like through Make-A-Wish style cakes, like you said, through the Smiles program, and then television, or how did that all kind of evolve once you were in school in that? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's tricky. Okay, so I have a very odd path, but what's interesting is my very wide span of experience has really all come together and is really working for me in everything I'm doing right now, which is kind of crazy. So I actually started off interested in food as a little kid, and I tell the story that I destroyed 2 Easy Bake Ovens when I was little. After those 2, my grandmother and mother decided it's time to teach me on the big oven. I tapped their knowledge out at about age 12, and then I just hit the books because I'm a bookworm. Baking is 100% chemistry. So there's my 100% plug for science for the day. Your savory chefs will tell you they don't bake. Like they just don't know. They don't touch that with a 10-foot pole, because it's not something you could just throw junk in together and voila, here comes this great dish. No, that's not how this works. You have to be precise. You have to know your ingredients, know how they interact with one another, and then with heat and cold and all kinds of stuff. It's much, much tougher. So when I went to culinary school, I also went to like regular university. I was a business major with a double minor in French and voice. Then I went to France, went to culinary school. I've actually worked at Sundance for Robert Redford in his restaurants. I just kind of always worked within food, even the times I wasn't working within food. I mean, I've been a radio DJ. I've driven stunt vehicles that are military vehicles in the film and entertainment industry. I've done a lot of things. I've done graphic design and creative services and stuff for a grocery brokerage firm. So I know the food industry, even from the grocery store end. Then my family's been in farming since the 1800s. And so I know a ton about the farming end of food too. So I kind of go the span. But when I finished culinary school, I went to work here in San Diego for a gal that had been on Food Network Challenge twice. She was the only cake house in the area that did crazy, funky, rad cakes like I liked to do. And so I went to work for her. And after working for her and somebody else that came in and bought out her place, and I worked for them for a few years, then I went off on my own. But while I was working for those other places is when Ultimate Cake Off from TLC tracked me down. They saw my work online, and this was early online. The MySpace days. I'm sure all of y'all don't even remember those days, except your children.
I do.
So that I'm starting to show my age. So they tracked me down, and so I was the first episode in season 2. And then they liked us so much and they got extended. They got 4 more episodes extended on their season. So they asked us back. So we came back for the last episode of that season also. What I can tell you about that, because that is now just snowballed into, I am one of the most called and requested people in all sorts of capacities, like I was explaining to you, in the television production, culinary television production, because I already knew the back end of production. I knew what it took to create a show. And I knew what the camera guys were there to do, the audio guys were there to do, the grips were there to do, the executive producers, the director, even the PAs, that's the production assistants, were there to clean up things and stuff like that. The culinary producer, because I'd done back end production stuff in the entertainment. So when I came on set, I don't come on set oh, it's all about me. I'm the cake artist. It's all about me, bow worship. No. I'm there understanding that they all have a job to do. I'm there to help them make good television. And so I'm automatically making friends with everybody in the crew, making sure I try to memorize everybody's names because we're going to work together for about a week, and make sure I call people by their name. Make sure you use somebody's name over and over and over. There's another big trick just in life that will serve you very well. As everyone learned that I was really easy to work with and that I made good television, then I just got called all the time. And
Nice.
For 12 years, it's just a snowball effect to where I don't go a week without getting 2 to 3 phone calls. I mean, in some fashion, somebody's asking me for something in television. It's crazy.
Wow.
So, but you get to be known as somebody that's easy to work with, that knows their stuff, that is helpful, that doesn't steer people wrong. It would be a rare thing that you'd come across somebody that would say a bad word about me. That's for sure. Because I've definitely tried to keep my nose clean, within cake and pastry and TV, just to make sure that I'm not an enabler. I'm not like a yes girl. I certainly have my boundaries, my healthy, all that. But people know that I know my stuff and that I will be helpful, and, I can assist them. And then for sure, I will call on them if I need some assistance for something else. So, it's one of those, again, scratch your back.
Sure.
Scratch each other's back.
I think you brought up so many great points. Networking again, treating others well. You obviously have a reputation for good follow through, and easy to work with in that. And I think that does carry a long way. It sounds like, and I may be jumping to a conclusion, but you say yes to many opportunities. Has that been a theme over the years, that you felt like I might not be fully knowing what this is, but I'm willing to try and learn and go and get better at it? Or
Definitely, definitely. I do have a thirst for knowledge. I always have. And so when opportunities come to me, I have a thing up in my office, and it says something to the effect of, if you just wait for opportunities to come to you, you'll miss out on all of them. So you have to go out there and seek out opportunities, and and you knock on the doors and see if they open. It's not so much that you sit down and you wait for doors to open for you. It's not how it works. So you have to be proactive. You have to be assertive. I wouldn't say aggressive. That doesn't really get you far, but assertive certainly does. And there is, there's a fine line there. Yeah, so I've really been blessed by the many opportunities that have come along. I mean, I've got 5 or 6 of them right now that I'm juggling, going, okay, how do I? And then, yeah, I mean, I never know when my phone rings what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, it's fun in a way, but it's also a little crazy. But I'll give you a quick little story about how I even got started and nailed it. So I had done 12 or so other shows with Food Network and TLC, worked with a number of production companies, and I got a phone call from this one guy who wasn't from LA. He was, originally from Oregon, so he was a little bit more normal. And one of the few guys I trusted pretty much. So my son saw that my phone was ringing, and it was this one person. And he goes, "You gonna get that?" I'm like, "No, I'm thinking no." And he's like, "Well, why not? I mean, you just tell him no." I'm like, but I let it go to voicemail. He called right back. And I was like, oh, geez, that's not a good sign. And so I picked it up, and I didn't even get a chance to say hello before he goes, "First of all, thank you for picking up. And second of all, before you hang up on me, this is for Netflix." I'm like, "I'm listening." That's all I'm saying. I'm listening. And so then he pitched me the whole nailed it concept, and what they would want me to do on the show, which didn't end up fully being what came to actual fruition. As a brand new show, things change, but nevertheless. And now I've done 49 episodes of that show, and we've been up for 2 Emmy awards, or 2 years for 3 Emmys total, 1 for one and 2 for another. I mean, it happened to be this gigantic hit thing on Netflix, and
my favorite show. Absolutely favorite.
So funny. So, and I made a bunch more really, really great connections. It's a family. For 3 years, I've worked with them. This year, finally, because I couldn't get them to go back to being what it was supposed to be as far as I was concerned. Because if your face isn't on television, then you're not staying relevant. It's just the way it is. And it doesn't really matter in what capacity your face is on TV. You've got to keep your face on TV to be relevant. Well, my hands were on TV a lot, not my face. So finally, I just said, okay, guys, if we're not going to get any further with this, if we can't come to some sort of arrangement, this is starting to actually cut me off at the knees with my career. So I'm going to have to, say, see ya. So I did. And, now I've got my own show I'm developing. I've got all kinds of things in the works, and it's great, but it takes a lot of work. This stuff does not come easy. I've been doing television for 12 years. I've been up for a lot of judging positions on a bunch of new shows, and you just have to keep working hard. But if you slack off, then things aren't going to come. It goes back to that opportunity thing I was talking about. You have to really go out there and make your own opportunities a lot.
Wow. Now you're giving great advice, to follow through, the consistency, staying relevant in that. You said yes to a lot of incredible things, and sometimes you said yes to things that you wish you wouldn't have in the end.
Right.
But all learning experiences and all connections made in that. Really quick, I think you've said a lot of great tips and advice in that. Is there just anything that's been some of the big highlights of your career that you've really enjoyed and been proud of, or that just make you smile when you look back and think of all that you've accomplished so far in it? I really feel like you're at your critical mass, like you're about to explode even more. So a lot's coming your way.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Hope I didn't just
put through college. Sorry. Let's hope. There's a lot of great things happening with Icing Smiles. We have a sugarthon that's coming about. So because of COVID, we used to do a lot of in-person fundraisers all over the country. in conjunction with cake trade shows, which are not happening, didn't happen all last year and are not happening so far this year. Another one just canceled last night. I would say my involvement in Icing Smiles is definitely one of those pinnacle things. Oh, let me explain what that is about. So two of my three kids have medical situations or problems or whatever you want to call them. I have one kid with leukemia. She's been dealing with that since she was 7. She's 21. And then I have another kid who has spondyloarthritis and Crohn's. But anyway, so that's how I was introduced to Icing Smiles. And the gal got about 2 sentences into her pitch about what she was about. And I went, stop, I'm in. Just, that's all you have. I don't need to talk about it anymore. I'm in. And then very quickly, she asked me to come be a member of the board. And now I'm president of the board. We're doing this new huge thing called a Sugarthon. So it'll be a virtual variety show online that I will live host, but all the acts will be videotaped and then we're stringing them together, but I'll break in live and stuff like that. So here's another networking thing for you. So I know people that, I never really thought I'd be bringing in my DJ time and other times like that, right? For my cake stuff. You never know. I used to dance at the Brown Derby in Hollywood all the time back in the swing dance, when swing dancing was huge. And Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, who actually has played the Super Bowl before, they were friends of mine. And I have kind of lost touch with them over the years, but I reached out to their manager and sent a couple pictures of us from back in the day at the Brown Derby. And I said, hey, remember me? Well, this is what I'm doing now. And I could really use you guys performing in our Sugarthon. They said yes, instantly.
Awesome.
And Scotty, the lead singer, is going to make a cute video for us, about our mission and stuff. And then one of the big folks in the vanilla industry that I know, she's super good friends with Smashing Pumpkins and Verve Pipe. So we've got them coming in to like perform in our Sugarthon. Justin Willman, who, if you guys recall, he does Magic for Humans on Netflix. He's a magician, but he was also the host of Cupcake Wars and Cake Wars for all that time. So I know him from there. He's been a judge on Nailed It for us before. So I know him. So we're getting him to like come be a magician on the show. So you see what I mean? Like all these crazy connections everywhere. And yet I'm pulling them in to come be, performers in our Sugarthon to help us raise money for Icing Smiles. It's nuts. But then I would have to say that, getting to the final episode in season 5 and season 7 of Halloween Wars and the amazing things we put out, all 4 episodes and then 5 episodes of that show. Very proud of that. I've been asked to attempt some pretty crazy things, but to make a fully edible lava lamp. So people hit me with things like that, like crazy ideas, like, can it be done? I'm like, well, let's try. Sure. So we did sugar, chocolate, and molecular gastronomy, new products, trying those, trying to come up with new product ideas. And then, the show idea I have that we're developing, there'll be my show. That is going to be one of the big feathers in my cap as soon as we're ready to shop it to networks. If I get a network to buy that, okay, wait, we're talking positive. When I get a network to buy that up, that's going to be a big celebration day for sure. Been working towards that for many, 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 many years. So, but I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about the concept. It's going to be really fun. It's very different. I still do cakes. I still do take some orders. Luckily, being in business for myself, I pick and choose what orders I take and when, for when I'm going to be in town and when I'm not. But it's a juggle. It's definitely a juggle.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I really appreciate you going through it was like a confetti explosion of talking about all the different things you got going on. But
I have been accused of that before.
No, but I think it shows really well, and I think that should gets me excited, and students too, when you're passionate about what you do and you're intentional about making those connections, helping others, but also never knowing when someone might be able to open a door for you and vice versa. I think it's an important skill that when people really consistently push, it can really make a huge difference, and it shows through the success you've already had and an even greater success you're about to. So congrats to that. And thank you so much for your time. This has been absolutely thrilling and just energizing to hear everything you've got going on.